These, ladies and gentlemen, are my Arcade1Up arcade cabinets. These things are amazing. But to explain to you exactly how amazing they are, first you have to understand what it's like to collect real arcade machines. Then, only then, will you understand the benefits of collecting these. So, let me tell you a little bit about my journey in collecting arcade machines. For 10 years, I collected arcade machines. I collected Dig Dug, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, you name it, I had it at one point. And it was stored in my little apartment, and it was in the second story building, so these things were a pain in the ass to move. They're 300 pounds, I had to get them up the staircase. It's not fun every time you move to move these things. And it's just not fun to move them just to rearrange the house for whatever reason. And it's just a pain in the ass to know in the back of your mind, owning this thing, that someday you're going to have to move it when you sell it or move again. And it's just better sometimes just to sell it and have somebody else pull it out of your apartment and get rid of it for you so you don't have to move it ever again. I mean, that's how annoying moving these damn things are. Now, because these things are old, they're on its deathbed. Everything about them is on its deathbed. The structure, integrity of the cabinets themselves, yeah, they're going to start getting flimsy at this point. And not only that, the monitors are going to go out and they're going to need replacing. But how are you going to replace a CRT? They don't even make those anymore. You're going to have to get an LCD screen, which is going to ruin the cabinet. Or you're going to have to pay out the ass for a freaking CRT that's original. And that's going to freaking cost you a goddamn fortune. Sometimes the PCB needs to be replaced, you know, the chipset. Sometimes the freaking wood needs to be, like parts of the cabinet, like the wood itself, parts of that need to be replaced. Sometimes the joysticks and buttons need to be replaced. Unless you're like some woodworking expert and on top of that, an electrician, you're going to be spending out of the ass to get these things repaired all the time. Not only that, collecting these things is going to require a ton of space. Just to get your favorite games, you probably got 7 favorite games. Yeah, well, 7 arcade machines take up a lot of freaking space, don't they? And moving those around, again, is going to be a pain in the ass. It's unbelievable. So what's the solution to this? The solution is something called a MAME arcade, which I've built in the past. Here's a video of mine that I made. It was a Super Mario Brothers. I made this. And it's super cool, and it's basically all in one unit. You have every game you can imagine. I had over 3,000 video games on there and a bunch of music. It was freaking amazing. And best part of all, it required the space of one single arcade cabinet. That's a lot better than trying to store 13, right? But you won't believe this. You're seriously going to have a hard time believing this, but this is absolutely true. When you have an arcade unit that plays every single game ever, it is impossible to find the game you want to play. I mean, are you going to play a Super Nintendo game on the arcade unit? Are you going to play a Game Boy game? Are you going to play an old school arcade game? I mean, there's 3,000 games to choose from. Which one are you going to play? What ends up happening is you're scrolling through the list for 15 minutes, and then you get bored of the machine before you even get to play a game. That's what would happen every time somebody came over to play it. They would scroll through the list. They find the game that they wanted to play. They'd play 2 minutes of it, and then they would get bored of it because they don't want to. They don't want to go through that list again. Okay, that list is a nightmare. Not only that, every time you choose a game, it's not made. The arcade cabinet, it's not made specifically for that game, so the controls aren't mapped on the control panel. So you got to guess what buttons do what, and half the buttons don't even do anything at all. It's just really lame. It's not a true arcade experience where the arcade sticks are all labeled and everything's all neat and every button has a purpose and you know what those buttons do, and it's not the same. For example, you know how this is a Mario Bros. Arcade unit? It's kind of lame that people are playing Donkey Kong on it because the artwork on the outside of the cabinet doesn't match the game. I mean, it'd be honestly a little bit cooler if the Mario Bros. Just played Mario Bros. Every time you found somebody playing on it, they're playing Mario Bros. And it matches the freaking aesthetics on the outside. That is more of a true arcade experience. It's the art of the machine matching the game. And the beautiful art on the machine itself is just kind of a work of art. So you see this beautiful arcade cabinet that I built? I sold it. because it was pointless to keep around, because nobody played it, because they would just scroll through the list for 15 minutes, get bored of it, and then not play anything at all. It's like all that choice is honestly intimidating. It's much better to be limited to a small library where you're guaranteed to play the shit out of all the games in that little library, right? You boot the thing up, you got 3 games to choose from, 4 games to choose from, and you get and you're going to choose a game fast because the list isn't long. And then when you choose the game, you're going to get addicted to that game. You're going to keep playing it over and over and over, and you're going to keep going back to that arcade unit to play it some more. That's what a real arcade unit does. You don't want a bunch of games on it. I'm telling you, it ruins the experience. Now, these Arcade1Up units that we were talking about in the beginning, these fix all the problems. Every single one of those problems are addressed when they made these. Okay? Number 1, these are 60 pounds, not 300. So moving them up stairs or moving them around the apartment or moving them around your house, not a big deal at all. You could do it by yourself. Collecting them is a breeze because they don't take up much space. They're half the size of a normal arcade unit. Now you may say, oh, well, I don't like them because they're too small. Well, you could get a little riser for them that make them as tall as a normal arcade unit so you could play standing up. Take a look at this one, the one in the middle. That one's on a riser. See, that's perfect size for standing up. And these risers are like $30. It's no big deal. So that issue could be solved easily if you want it solved. But I prefer them without the risers because I like to sit down while playing video games. And these out of the box are the perfect height for that. So I just keep them the way that they are. And another thing is they're limited on the amount of games that each cabinet has. So what does that mean? That means they're great for collecting. These things are small, portable, collectible. Just imagine if one of these Arcade1Up units had every single game imaginable on that one unit. There would be no reason to collect them, and then your hobby would be done. It would be over with. That's no fun. But again, it's not about the freaking games itself. You can get these games for free on ROM sets online. For free. If you want to play the game, I recommend doing that. What I don't recommend is you spending $300 just to play the game. But if you want to sit down at an arcade machine that has the art, the original art of the arcade machine, and has the full arcade machine experience, then yeah, you're going to want this. Okay, it's got art on the side panels, it's got art on the marquee, on the control panel, on the bezel. It's got the clicky buttons and the clicky joystick that you remember. It's the true arcade experience. You could play standing up or sitting down. It's just like the arcade. Now, you won't get that from one of those $15 collection sets that Walmart offers where it has all the arcade classics on it. You won't get that from a ROM set. You won't get that, okay? This is the true experience of the arcade, and that is a little pricey, and it's worth the cost of admission. I mean, I seriously can't believe they got the price as low as they did. $300 for an arcade unit is a steal. Are you kidding me? Man, I used to spend thousands of dollars on a single arcade unit. Now I can get 3 for the price of that. What the hell? These guys have really made something special here. These guys have addressed every single problem there is collecting arcade machines. And it's a hobby that I'm happy I'm back into. Also, playing them is just fun. I mean, me and my son spent all weekend playing these things. It was freaking a blast.